in college and having a lesson with my composition professor, Dr. Meister. And I think there was only a couple more weeks in school left before graduation. And we're sitting there. He's like, "All right, so what are you gonna do? What's your next step?" And I was like, "I'm gonna go out into the world and become a professional steel pan player and a professional composer and just write music, or write original music on pan and just travel the world and be an artist." And I think that something clicked in him, and he realized I created a monster. Here's this guy who now loves steel pan and now loves composition, and now he's gonna go out into the big scary world and he's gonna go try to do that. So he kind of freaked out, and he said, I remember this clearly. He freaked out and he was like, "How you gonna pay your bills? How you gonna take care of family? How you gonna eat? How you gonna do this? How you gonna take?" He started freaking out, and I kind of had this concept at the time, or I kind of had this attitude where it was like, whatever, I'll figure it out. It'll be fine, And I feel like that attitude was very helpful for me, because it gave me the attitude of do what I have to do in order to go for the long-term goal that I have in my head. So when I graduated with a college degree, right? Sure, I moved to Asheville and I jumped into trying to make a living as a composer and as a musician, but I had to work random jobs along the way. So at one point, I worked this landscaping job. There's one point where I worked as a dishwasher in an Italian restaurant. There's one point that I worked in a factory. Actually, I worked in a CD manufacturing factory for 5 years, actually. There's random different jobs that I would pick up here and there, stuff like that. But the thing that is important, I feel like, is just your mentality when you're working on those things, because there's no shame in having to do other things to support yourself, as long as you have the right mentality. So for me, any kind of random thing that I did, whether it was being a dishwasher at the Italian restaurant or working in the factory, all of it was going towards my main goal of being a successful touring musician and all this stuff. So that means that I woke up in the morning with that mentality that this is all part of the process. So I happily went to work and worked 12-hour shifts at the factory. I happily, rode my bike to the Italian restaurant downtown Asheville to wash dishes for however many hours a day. And that mentality also helped my spirit. So when I got off of work, I would work even harder on the things that were my goals, because I realized that a lot of people that I was working with, I realized that after work they would be tired and they would go home and they would relax and watch TV, go to sleep, wake up the next day and do the cycle. But I realized for me, if I wanted to achieve my goal, I had to work the jobs. I had to have a good attitude about the jobs, and then I had to go home and work even harder on music and music business and the things that I wanted to achieve in that way, because that was the only way that I was going to make it happen. So that's really the main thing that I feel about working other jobs, is realizing that it is part of the process. And when you have that attitude that it's part of the process, it really changes your whole mentality. I never thought like, oh, I'm doing music on the side, and now I have this job to support myself. It was like, no, like, this is part of the whole process. And the money that I was getting from the job, I was investing directly into making albums and building up my merchandise and producing music videos and getting a tour van and all these different things, getting equipment. And I was investing that money the whole time, because it was all part of the entire process. And that's how I was able to get up, work insane hours, come home, work insane hours, barely sleep, get up and do the same thing over and over again. And I know that's a mentality that it's hard for people to process sometimes. And I feel lucky in that way because sometimes people have to develop that to push themselves. And for whatever reason, that's how I'm wired. I mean, that's at least what I believe. So I feel like for me, I was wired that way. And for some other people, they might have to maybe trick themselves into pushing themselves. But yeah, those are just my thoughts about working other jobs as part of your process. So